Hey there, folks. Welcome back to yet another episode of Kurn's Guild Spotlight. This is episode 28. Today's guild in the spotlight, and I hope I'm pronouncing this properly, and I think I am, is Dulce Bellum. It's an alliance guild on the US Stonemaul server, and you can find them at www.dulcebellum.com. That's DULCEBELLUM, dulcebellum.com. As always, you can just click right through to their website in the description below. So, who is Dulce Bellum? Well, they're a 25-man heroic raiding guild, and you know my fondness for 25-man heroic raiding guilds, and they only raid 2 nights or 6 hours per week, which is, I think, incredible. Anyone who can manage to get stuff done in a reasonable amount of time gets, a high five from me. So high five to Dulce Bellum. Their goals include efficient progression, raiding with minimal time commitment. They want a positive, respectful guild atmosphere, and they want to have fun while maintaining a high level of performance. And they are well on their way. They are 3 of 13 hard modes in Tier 15 in Throne of Thunder, so they've gotten down Heroic Jinrock, Herden, and Kurn. When do they raid? Well, like I said, they only raid 2 nights a week. They raid on Tuesdays and Sundays from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific, which is server time, which is also 9 to 12 a.m. Eastern. And those are pretty standard raid times, regardless of what coast of North America you're on. So pretty reasonable hours, regardless of where you're living. And again, just 6 hours a week. I mean, I like to raid, but 6 hours a week sounds really nice. Like, the amount of efficiency that must be involved in having a 6 hour a week raid week. I mean, to me, that's a little outstanding, actually, to be honest. What are they looking for? They're looking for a Holy Paladin or a Holy Disc Priest. So it would be nice if priests were conversant with both their healing specs and a Holy Paladin, which obviously I'm fond of myself. They're also looking for skilled players able to compete with current raiders. They encourage you to go looking through their world of logs and make sure that you're up to the challenge. Also important to them, players who share our goals and values. So the goals and values I was talking about earlier, about being respectful and stuff like that, yeah, that's what they're looking for. They also go so far as to say, and I really, really love this, responsible, mature, articulate people welcome to apply regardless of gear and experience. So if you are responsible, mature, and articulate, even if your gear isn't quite what they're looking for, even if your experience isn't right there, they'll look at you because you are the type of person that they want in their guild. So thumbs up to Dulce Bellum for, setting the standard really high on something like that, on making their guild culture something of which to be proud, really. They are on the Stonemaul server. So let's talk a bit about Stonemaul. It is a PvP PST server. It's not exactly low pop, but it's not really medium pop either. There's about 50,000 characters. And of those characters, about 27,000 or just over half are Alliance and 23,000 are Horde. So being that this is a PvP server, you got to be careful. This is not like yesterday's guild, where we talked about the Sargeras server, where there's like 141,000 Alliance tunes compared to like 25,000 Horde. No, you're gonna want to buddy up with people when you go out into the world, because this is an actual PvP server, and I would imagine that the Horde are not as, shall we say, sad on Stonemaul as they are on Sargeras. So in terms of rating, it's actually a really small rating server. There's only 18 guilds rating in Tier 15 at all, and only 6 of them, including Dulce Bellum, are in Heroic Tier 15. So it's not really a big rating server. The top guild is a Horde guild, which is 8 of 13 heroic modes, and Dulce Bellum is tied for second place, I believe, and it's the only consistent 25-man guild. Like, these people are strict 25-man guild players, which is fantastic. Like, these are people after my own heart, except that they're on a PvP server. There's also a slight alliance bias over Horde in number of raid guilds, so there's like 10 alliance guilds and 8 Horde guilds, but I mean, that kind of is reflective of the population. So once again, Dulce Bellum at dulcebellum.com, they need a Holy Paladin or a holy disc priest for their 25-man heroic raids. They're looking for people who are a good fit, mature, responsible, articulate, respectful. Here's what they have to say about wasting time, because obviously with only 6 hours of raiding a week, you gotta be efficient. They say, do not waste people's time. Always try to think about how your actions affect other people. In return for not wasting your guildmates' time, your guild leaders promise to do their best not to waste your time. Fantastic. Finally, swearing, racist, sexist, homophobic language is unpleasant, as they term it, and won't be tolerated. They say in their policies, their rule number 2 is don't make yourself unpleasant. Things that would make you unpleasant include, but are not limited to, the following, including that little bit about language. And they say if you violate either of these rules, you'll be warned by the GM or a council member. If you violate either rule after you've been warned, you'll be demoted to initiate status, and the council will decide whether to remove you from the guild. The council really doesn't want to deal with that, so please just try to follow the rules. These people seem like they're really, firm on what they want in their guild, and I have nothing but the highest respect for people like that. So, Holy Pallies and Holy Disc Priests, check out Dulce Bellum, dulcebellum.com, click through in the description below. That'll do it for today's Guild Spotlight. Tune in tomorrow for yet another episode of Kurn's Guild Spotlight. As always, please do follow me on Twitter at kurnmogh, that's at KURNMOGH. Check out my blog at kurnn.apotheosis-now.com, and check out my forthcoming guide site over at kurn.info. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you here tomorrow.